Welcome to another conversation with Carrie, where I get to talk to incredible, amazing, leaders, people who are just so gifted and talented and well known for something that they do. And I get to talk to them about other stuff, about other stuff that matters in their life, in their business, in who they are. And what I love about these conversations is that I get to talk to people who kind of give the same interview a lot, right? I get to talk to people who, they have their thing that they're constantly talking about, and we get to talk about other stuff, and we get to know these people on a much deeper level. So I'm excited today to be talking to you, Rachel Archelaus, my BFF, my friend for I don't know how many years now, but I was just thinking, I think I say this every time I interview you. I can't believe we're so close. We've been friends for years. I feel like you are one of my closest friends on the planet, and we've never inhabited the same physical space. That blows my mind every time we talk.
Me too, I know, and I'm always thinking of ways to visit you, but somehow it just hasn't happened yet.
I know, I'm kind of worried. Rachel and I were having this conversation the other day about, I have certain friendships that I kind of keep in a box. I have this one friend who we run together once a week, and we've been doing this. Well, we ran together in college, so we've been running together for over 20 years, but for the past 15 years, once a week on Sundays, we run together, and that's my only exposure to her. And I love her so much as this, the big human that she is. I love all of her, but I also love that our friendship, we have this sliver of a friendship that is so structured. Anyways, I'm wondering now if I'm keeping you in a digital box.
Probably not. I think we're just both really into life. We just have a lot going on.
Well, that's one of the things that I like about you is, okay, this is one of the things I love about you. So let's start here with the conversation. You have amazing boundaries, and you're also not afraid to just totally get rid of them in a moment's notice. So when I think about what I'm saying is, we haven't wound up in the same physical space because neither of us are willing to do things that make us uncomfortable or that we just don't want to do. So can you just talk a little bit about that, about living your life? Because when I think about the way you live your life, it's moment to moment to moment, what feels good. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say my boundaries live in the moment.
Yeah.
I don't have rules about what I will and won't do. In fact, my rules are, if I want to do something in the moment, then I will either just do it or consult the person that would affect. I have a boyfriend and we're in a relationship, but if there was something that I really wanted to do that would impact him greatly, go overseas for 6 months or do a through hike or, kiss somebody else, I would just consult him first. To me, nothing's off limits if it's really in alignment with me, but I am considerate and respectful of other people too.
So what came up for me when you said that is immediately what about a moral code? Or what about there's, I think we're all sort of conditioned to believe there are just things that you're going to want to do and you're not allowed to. You just can't.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think because if you really want to do something, then it means that it's feeling good to you. There's a feel good call there. And if it feels good, then it's in alignment. And I've never wanted to do something destructive while I was in alignment. I never wanted to do something helpful or, heart expansive in alignment. Or I haven't wanted to not do something heart expansive in alignment. So I just don't know where that would come in. I get questions a lot from people of well, what about people who love to kill others? That's just what they like. And I would question that. Are they really enjoying themselves? Maybe they're doing it because they're in pain. That's not alignment.
Okay, so let's talk about your moment to moment. There's something I want to talk about. I forgot, by the way, Rachel, before this conversation, I was going to ask you, is there anything off limits?
No.
Okay, good. Because I'm about to ask you something. So in the past year, you've done a lot of things that you wanted to do. Like this moment to moment, I'm just really wanting this right now. And having said that moment to moment, I think that when I say it like that, and when I hear you say it like that, it sounds blissful and a little, okay, I'm trying to find the word. It's like that it makes it think that you don't have plans, or that you don't have intentions, or that you don't have like ideas about where you're headed, that you're just sort of like floating through life. And yet I love the idea of floating through life. I also know, you know where you're headed, like you have intentions. Maybe can you talk about that before I ask you about what just happened?
Yeah, well, it's both of those things. So I live like this because I have faith in my greater energetic self. Like, I know that for me, I'm living as this, human being, and I've got senses, and I can see and feel and hear. And that part of me is reacting to whatever is in my environment in the moment because I've already created it. My bigger energetic self is creating everything I see. It's creating opportunities and whatever comes into my reality. I've done that already. So everything showing up for me that I'm responding to in the moment, I made that. I put that there. And so I can expect there to be a through line. I can expect there to be structure and continuity because I'm the one creating everything. It's not just a random bunch of stuff coming at me. So I have structure, I have plans, I have intentions. Stuff comes to me that I've asked for or wanted or, worked toward. And so all of that still happens for me, but I'm able to relax about it because I know it's coming, because I've lined up with it vibrationally. So I am living like bouncy, floaty, blissful life most of the time, because that's how I create what I want.
So I want to talk to you about, there's so many freaking things I want to talk to you about. Like, I don't even know. I may need help.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to you about this whole journey that you've just been on in this past, I feel like it's been just about a year of, and then I want to talk to you about a whole thing. Oh, well, I'll leave that for in a minute. So you've been on this journey over the past year where you're sitting now in a moment where I'm actually watching you just get things that you've been talking about, wouldn't it be cool if, that are just dropping into your life, which is so fun and cool. It is so awesome to just like be along for the ride with you. But I've also been along for the ride with you where it was like, I need to leave this situation right now. I've outgrown this box. And also, I'm going to live in a van for a while, and I'm going to be like super, and I don't know where I'm going next. Oh, and I'm going to launch a book, and like all of the things that sort of happened in this that led you back to where you are now, which is, this all started with about a year ago, you were talking about moving to Utah. And I, as your friend, was like, but Rachel, and you lived in Phoenix. Is this, maybe you tell the story and I'll fill in the gaps.
Well, it's interesting to see it from another's perspective. So it's cool that you started. But yeah, so about a year ago, I was finishing up a house sitting gig in Connecticut. So I had been in Connecticut for like 3 months away from my partner. I had a long-term boyfriend in Phoenix. We were both going to move to Utah. And something inside of me was like, I can't do it. And I had, been knowing that I needed a break from my relationship for a long time. And it wasn't anything about him. He's like the most fantastic person ever. But it was just something in me, and I couldn't put a pin on it. I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't explain it. But we've all had those feelings where like we just know we need something and it doesn't go away. So
but I want to talk
here. Oh, go ahead.
To you about that though, about that Utah, because I remember like you wanted to live in Utah. You were excited about, you came and visited Utah. You were excited about it. And then you were like, no.
I'm the one that wanted to go to Utah. He wanted to go to Seattle. So the fact that I was ditching him, sending him to Utah, which he didn't even want to go to, was quite, I don't know, universally hilarious and not at the same time. So yeah, he was very upset about that when I said I'm not going to go. But again, it was just that thing in me. And I've always had that thing. Like, I always knew where I had to leave. I dropped out of high school. I don't know if you know that, because I wasn't getting the kind of support that I needed there in what was going on with myself at the time. I have left work and just like went on a 10-mile walk downtown, and like, this was when I was a teenager as well. But I know what I need as a being, and if I don't give that to myself, it just snaps and I just do it anyway. Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. I'm so admiring how much you trust yourself. And in that moment, like, because you were like, okay, so I'm with this guy and I'm super intuitive. So I'm like, okay, I think you're supposed to be with him. And I think you're supposed to be in Utah. Like, Rachel, I'm not sure you're doing the right thing here. And yet you were so aligned and you were at peace. And I'm like, all right, I'm your friend. Okay, I'm supporting you, like, okay, you go do you. And I was admiring the courage it took to do that. But I'm wondering and maybe you've already explained it to me and I'm just having a hard time grasping it, but I just remember feeling like, okay, I don't know. I know this, it was my own judgment, my own conflict, right? Because I was like, I think she's supposed to be in Utah with this dude. And like everything she's asked for is happening and she's going in this other direction. But the other direction was also more stuff that you had asked for.
Yeah. I think what was really happening is so many of us, and I included in that, I felt the limitations of a relationship and it changed how I lived. I've always been a person where I've been wanting to travel. I want to live moment to moment. I want to be able to just do whatever, is coming into my inspiration box in the morning. And there were times unconsciously where I was not doing those things because of a relationship. I can't go here because I went away last month. I can't do this. So I had a lot of built up resistance that I had to break the momentum of. And that's really what I did. It wasn't, it was totally me. All the things that I had built up in my head, I wasn't even really aware of, but I had to make a break from the momentum in order to re-enter the relationship as an equal and feeling good and knowing my sovereignty still exists within a relationship. So does that make sense?
Oh my God, yes, so much yes. I was just in a conversation yesterday with someone who I was telling her that I've had to do so much work, energetic work, and we all do, but I have had to do so much work around the fact that when I married my husband, and up here, I knew I was smart, I knew I was sovereign, I knew, I really did know that he respected my wholeness and all of it. But I still energetically gave over all my power. I was this amazingly powerful human being when I walked down the aisle with my father. And when I walked back with my husband, something had changed, right? I was not conscious of it. It wasn't anything I was aware of, but it took me years and years to realize, oh, and that it was that moment. That was a serious energetic contract that I signed that I didn't know that I was doing that. And it took, the undoing of that has been so satisfying. So I haven't had to make a physical break. I haven't, but I've had to do lots of things like you're talking about, just sort of say, hey, why am I making this decision when I want to make that decision?
Yeah. But the great thing about this is, of course, there's no one right way to do that. It's going to be different for everybody. But for us, he came to me after I got back here, after we agreed to get back together. and said that it was the right thing. Like, he respected my decision to do that, and he thought it was beneficial, because not only did I get to do everything I wanted to do, which I basically traveled full time for 6 months, first in my RV, and then I converted a minivan, and I also house sat. I mean, I wasn't just like living in a van, but and I camped, and it was glorious. I mean, it was so amazing to do that. And he had a great time too. He said it was hard but worth it. And, you know, that's kind of priceless too, to have that for your partner. You know, he got to experience himself, he got to grow, he got to, you know, find who he was, and those are all his words. So nothing bad happens. And from the outside in, it kind of looks like, Rachel, you're ruining your life. Rachel, what are you doing? But it was the right thing to do for everybody, which is awesome.
I'm going to yawn, which I do. I do when there's some sort of energy shift. But what the best part of this story for me, so you know I'm all about like finding the miracles, right? There's all sorts of miracles in this story. The best part of the story, and I know it's not the ending, but it's kind of the ending, is that, you know, you go on this, you left to pursue you. And in the pursuing of you, you lived in an RV. You challenged yourself. Like, you launched a book during that time, and you went on a book tour in your freaking RV, driving solo to across the country and to Canada. Like, you did some big, scary things for you. And also, you did all of it so joyously. And then when you felt that, like, the world sort of arranged itself so that you wound up back in Utah, you were house sitting for your partner, right? That's
Yeah.
you wound up back in Utah, only to discover that he'd bought your dream home in your dream place. Like, I mean, that's my favorite part. Can you just tell it?
Yeah. So, you know, we share cats, and when I was away, I didn't get to see them. And so when he was going on vacation, he asked me if I wanted to come and house sit and hang out with them. So of course I said yes. And the first time I came was in June or July, and I walked in the house and I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This is my dream house. And so I got to spend a couple weeks in it, and I was so surprised at how at home I felt there. And, you know, I was making videos and people were really responding well to like the new look. And yeah, so I knew I wanted to live there, but I thought, well, that's really awkward because I just broke up with this guy. Now I want to live in his house.
I wouldn't put it past you to be like, I want to live here.
I know, I thought about it. Our relationship was still really good, but I didn't say anything, and we didn't get back together that time. But I knew he would invite me back, and of course, the next month he invited me back to house it again, and I came, and that's kind of when we, you know, got our groove on again and realized, no, we really do want to be together. And he actually told me that I was the inspiration for buying this house. It was actually like more than he wanted to spend, and it was in a different place than he was looking. And so, yeah, everything down to the house worked out better than I could have ever imagined. We're better than we've been since we, you know, got together. It's like everything is bumped up to a whole new level. And in the meantime, we both had fun, you know?
Just love it. I love the word you used in the beginning about being sovereign. Because I think that's the important thread in this story, is you just following that. And in honoring yourself, this is what I love about you, Rachel. And in honoring yourself, all the things have fallen into place. Like it's my favorite thing. So I want to talk, I've been thinking about how to interview you, because one of the things I like to do in these conversations is just talk about stuff, like all sorts of amazing stuff that is cool about you that isn't what you're known for. But when I was looking at you, I was like, well, she's known for that. She's known for that. She's known for that. Like, you do a lot of things in your, like, there's not like, oh, Rachel's known for this book she wrote, but did you know she also does this? Because this also thing that you do, right, is all part of, you are very integrated. You're very multidimensional and integrated as a multidimensional being, I would say as a human being, but I know that you're more than that. And
so are you.
So am I, as it turns out. But and in how your business, right? Your business is you. And so I wanted to talk about, instead of talking about the specific things that you do in your business, I want to talk about the journey of public evolution, right? Of being all out there and really, because you are one of the weirdest people I know. Like, I wish I could think of the weirdest people I know in terms of, like, if I put all the things about Rachel on paper, I would point to it and be like, that's a weirdo. And yet you're one of the least weird people that I know. You're like so normal. So can you talk about that? Like your public evolution of just living on the edge and documenting your living on the edge.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. I mean, even when I was little, I always wanted to just share about myself because I have kind of a different life. You know, I've always seen things that most people don't see, and hear things that most people don't hear, and I have like a pretty good observational eye and a way of like translating what's happening so that it makes sense to people. And I just love that. I love being in that space. And so I've always shared everything. And, you know, I started a creative writing blog a long time ago. And the posts that would always do really well were the ones where I was talking about like spirits or seeing interesting things. And I wrote a book when I was 17 that no one will ever see, but
never say never.
I don't even know who has one anymore. I think Eric might have the last living copy. But it was just like sharing stuff. And I remember I was married a long time ago and my husband said to me, like, you don't have to share everything. And I was like, I don't know. I think I do. Because it's just that internal drive and it was what makes me happy. And I like doing it in all different ways. Like I like making videos and talking to people and making poems and art. And it's just kind of what I do. You know, it's just how I'm wired.
And yet, you've recently integrated, right? So integrated in the online space. You've recently taken all of the pieces of the way that you share and brought them to one place online. Like you went from having this facet of your business and that facet of your business, and now they all live at rachelarchelaus.com. By the way, I need to ask about Archelaus. So you did that, right? Which there was something big and powerful that happened. So I guess what I'm asking is, even though you have to share, because I'm a have to share kind of person too. And I have all sorts of like built up shit about that, like, which you are helping me with, but like, I don't want to be too much for these people, or I'll share this on my public page, but I'll share this inside of a group, or I'll share this with my mastermind, but I'm not ready to make a video about that necessarily. Which I think is just my own crap, really, right? Like if I feel, go ahead.
I actually have the same thing. I think about that too. And what I've come down to is like, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. Do whatever feels right to you. Like, I think discernment is really powerful, and it's not something we should label as bad, you know, like we're not being resistant if we're listening to our discernment, you know, of like, you know, this I want to share here and this I want to share here. I think if we just reframe that into being a positive thing, then it's totally cool.
But I love how you said discernment and you went here, because when I think discernment, right, I get to like, well, should I, is it appropriate? Is it right? It's like this whole different thing. And what I'm enjoying about being along for the ride with you is being a cheerleader and saying, dude, let your freak flag fly, right? Like, just like put it all out there. And like, it's so easy. It is so easy when it's somebody else. When it's you and you're like, you guys, there's this thing, and should I put it here? And should I? And I'm like, oh my God, Rachel, you are awesome. Everybody loves all of you, right? But when it's ourselves, we're like, this is too much. Maybe I'm not sure I'm ready to, like, maybe I should get a spray tan before I before I wear the bikini. Like, yeah.
I think that comes from just really learning to know that I'm the generator of my reality, and that if I accept myself and I love myself, and if I enjoy something, that's all I need to know. Like, that's why I go here, because if it feels good to me, then I know it's the right thing to do, regardless of what it looks like on the outside. And that if I accept whatever it is that I'm doing, it's going to be accepted in the world. Like, that's just how it works. It's just a feedback loop.
So I know this and you know this, but I think that is the most fun thing in the entire world, is to continue to prove that to yourself. Continue to, like, I'm continually amazed that when I just do what my heart tells me to do, that things work out amazingly, even when, and I think this is the whole point of me going into your long story about leaving your partner and then coming back, even when it seemingly doesn't make sense, when it's like, when it seems to go against what you really want.
Yeah, that's really the thing. Trusting your heart over your head, over the outside world, over what other people think. Yeah, because again, it goes back to trusting my bigger non-physical being. My bigger non-physical being can see through time and space and knows what's coming up for me. It knows what's ahead. It knows what I want. And if that way of communication through my body, through my intuition, we're talking, and my intuition is telling me, go there, because my bigger non-physical being has got something there for me. There's something rich and valuable there. And so if I follow what feels good, I'm led to all the treasure that I've amassed vibrationally. And yeah, like, this is a really out there conversation, but this is actually how I live. And this is how you're saying you're living now. And it works. Like, I do it because it works. And you're saying, I'm definitely a weirdo. I'm not going to dispute that. But I feel like, yes, I'm also a really grounded, rational person who just goes off of what actually works.
Okay, so I'm gonna like leak one little part about you, because I can't not talk about Intimate Alien.
Yeah.
And because whenever I talk to you about my friends, to my actual, like, physical in the world friends, not you, my virtual friend, whenever I talk to, like, my friends about you, I'm like, oh yeah, my friend Rachel, and they're like, oh, like the alien one. And so let's talk about that for a minute, because you keep talking about your bigger you, and I know what that means. And lots of people who are, it's not a show. I can't seem to do anything like with someone without my phone ringing. But can you explain when you talk about the bigger you, right? Because people, is that higher self? Is that God? Is that your soul? Is that, like, what? Give us a little context around
all of that. Yeah. So I see our makeup as, like, okay, I'm standing on the earth, right? You can picture a person standing on the earth, but if you imagine that God is the sun, you can imagine that there could be a line from the person standing on earth to the sun. So there's a line from the person to God, and God to me is just all that is. It's just like, the big universal consciousness, and all the way through that line. So first, like, going up the line, there's like the higher self and the soul and the oversoul, and there's all these dimensions where different beings live and different rules apply. But anyway, I am always connected to God, or all that is, through this line, and on that line is my higher self and my soul. And those parts of me, like I said before, they don't have the rules of physicality here. They are non-physical. They are timeless. They always exist in this one moment, and the moment is all there is. So they're not limited in perception like we are here. I'm like standing at the bottom of a mountain, whereas my higher self is standing at the top of the mountain, and it can see the pathways I could take. It can see the people I'll meet on the way. It can see the dangers. And if I listen to my higher self through my intuition, I'm steered around the obstacles and I'm steered to exactly what I want. And that's why I listen to my intuition and the bigger part of me, because it can see more and it just knows where to send me. Does that kind of make sense?
No, that
my bigger self is all of that in between.
So it's everything that's, I've actually never thought about it that way. So you're saying your bigger self is everything that's in between you and God.
Yeah, because we're all, you know, creatures of God, right? They say, and I'm not a religious person, but I really like that idea that we're all part of God. We're all just a little piece of God. Everyone comes off of that, you know, central core of all that is. And everyone has this bigger part of them that's non-physical. And then the little fruit is on the end is us. And we're always connected. So why wouldn't we use that connection to our advantage?
I think of that. I think of it in a weird way, but the analogy that works for me is like, I am a single cell that lives inside of the being of God. You know, like I think I am like my own thing, right? I have no idea that I'm actually part of a liver or a lung or whatever. Okay, so where does Intimate Alien fit in all of this? So tell me, because I don't know this. I still don't understand you. I watched a video of yours a while ago where you were like, it's crazy we've been friends for so long and I don't know this, but you said something like, oh, well, that's where Archelaus came from. And I was like, what? That's not like your birth last name?
Oh, that's awesome.
I had no idea. And then I've known that you have this being that is part of you and you channel, but I don't know where she came from either. So can you tell me about those?
Yeah. All right. So like I said, I was married and it didn't end very well, as most divorces could claim. And I didn't want to keep my married name, and I didn't want to go back to my childhood name, which is Mingalello.
Not laughing at your middle name.
Yeah, no, it's a great name, but I just, you know, I felt like I've been through so much and I'm not a kid anymore and I really don't want to go back to that. I want my own name. And so I asked my guides, of course, and right away they gave me the name Archelaus. And I didn't go with that right away. I actually spent a whole year like trying on different names. And in my book, Above the Surface, one of the last poems, or the last poem, is Names for Rachel, which my friend gave me this, like all these names to choose from. And, but then after about a year, I was like, you know what, Archelaus it is. It felt really right. And it turned out to have so much symbolism and meaning. And I really love it. It's like, it's super great. And it also spells out a Rachel us. So that's pretty cool too. Because I'm a group being, so we'll go into the Intimate Alien thing.
Yes, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it, you know, I didn't know it spelled a Rachel us until like 2 months ago. My mom was like, you know, your name spells that. I knew I had Rachel in it, but I didn't really think about anything else about it.
Okay, wait. Before you talk about that, before you talk about the us part of you, because that's one of my that is still like, that's what makes you weird, right? Like, I love you so much, and I am like, I mean, I get it, and I don't get it, and I love it. But Archelaus, what's the symbolism of that?
Well, arch is the strongest structure known to man. It can withstand a lot of pressure, and you can build a lot on top of it, which I'm kind of doing, you know, hopefully. Yes. And nothing really bothers me. Like, I'm pretty strong after all these years of crazy stuff. And it's also, you know, the prefix to Archangel. And really, my angels are the ones that gave me the name. And so there's just a lot to that. There's also meanings to the AUS ending, but I don't really remember what that is at the moment.
It's all right. It can't be important right now. Okay, so switching to us. that there is an us inside of you.
Yes.
So when you first told me this, I was like a little bit freaked out by it. And because I remember asking you, like, is that the same for me? Am I an us? And you're like, no, there's not very many other us's. So talk to me about that.
Yeah. Well, I grew up openly psychic. Like I mentioned, I've seen things my whole life, talked to things that weren't really, visible to most people. So I've had this experience of being kind of different since I was a little kid. But then I think in like 2012 or 13 or something, I had this experience where it felt like all of these beings that I talked to were like on this shelf in front of me, and I could go there and I could talk to them, and I could even like see them on this not real shelf. And then all of a sudden they went inside of me and they were in me. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Because I felt different. And it was really just this experience of allowing myself to know who I am. Like they were always inside of me, but I was just seeing them on the outside. It's like if you have like a representative dream, that feels real. Like this weird thing was happening to me. And what I came to understand about myself is that I'm not just like one soul. I am a bunch of souls making up this personality. And I can identify which part of me is predominantly expressing itself or talking or, using its energy. And I can even go back through my entire life and see like where I was one thing or the other more so. And it's interesting how that's shown up for me. And all of the different energies that I am, like, have also played a role in the outside me. So the beings that would come and visit me and I would talk to were related to something inside of me. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
I mean, I get it, but it's okay. So it takes some understanding in terms of most of us believe that we have a soul that chose, well, some of us believe that it chose, some of us maybe don't, but regardless, let's just say chose. It chose this incarnation, it chose this experience, it chose this lifetime. And that one soul, right, maybe has had, well, this could go in a different direction, I guess, but let's say maybe that one soul has had lots of lifetimes, right? And so that soul's journey, there's like if people who do past life regression or something, right, they're like recognize, oh, I'm this way because this happened 10 lifetimes ago or whatever. But you're not talking about that. You're talking about that a bunch of souls got together and said, we're going to inhabit.
Yeah. It's the same thing, except a group chose this body and these parents and this life. Yeah. They were all holding hands and wanted to experience the same thing. And so they came together. And now that's me.
And so I've got to ask, I think I've asked you this. I interviewed Intimate Alien one time because she is, well, occasionally we'll talk and I'll be like, Rachel, you sound like Intimate Alien. And you're like, yeah, well, she's in here.
Yeah.
But how is that different? Is it different? Actually, maybe this is a fair question. Is it different than multiple personality disorder?
I don't know. I did study psychology in college, but I didn't do a master's or anything, and I never did any clinical work where I got to work with patients with that disorder. So I don't know. I mean, it could be, but it could also be like a different kind of fracturing happening in the mind where you're compartmentalizing to feel safe. Like there could be a lot of different reasons for having that.
The difference I see in the way that you present in the world is that you're always Rachel, right? You may know who's in the driver's seat, but you're always Rachel. Even when you're Intimate Alien, Rachel's there, right?
Yeah, I'm fully there. Like anytime I'm channeling, I'm right there. We're having a conversation while y'all are talking. Like, it's very fluid. I don't like go into a trance or anything.
Right. Or your personality. So this is such an interesting conversation with me because I feel like we're all multifaceted. We all have aspects of our personality. I feel like our personalities can be situational, right? Like I can show up differently in one situation than another. So when I hear you talking about in different times in my life, I recognize who was driving, say, which soul that inhabits me was driving the Rachel train. I also can like relate to that, but not from having different souls, but from a like, okay, yeah, but this is when I put on this role. This is when I put on that role, right? Like that's where I'm like struggling with, but there's literally different souls. Being an only one-souled being, I'm I'm struggling to understand the multi-souls.
Well, you know what's interesting about what you were just saying about the roles? It's only when I really stopped controlling my own personality that I was able to understand that I am multiple beings. Like that was really what allowed me to understand it. And that's when I had that vision of them coming into me and everything, because I stopped trying to control myself. I stopped trying to be multiple people in multiple situations, because I was always doing that growing up and in my jobs and stuff. And once I had a few years of like working for myself and relaxing and knowing who I really am without all that societal feedback and pressure, that's when I was able to see, oh, but I have this natural personality. I have this naturalness to me that can come out, and I can relax enough to let that happen. It was always happening, right? But I was too controlling to see it. So, and it's not that the souls themselves all came into me, and I have like 5 whole souls like making up my personality. They are still, it's going to be a little weirder even, they're still having lives. They just sent part of their energy. So each one sent part of their energy and combined makes up me. So it's not even necessarily that I have like 5 beings, complete whole beings, like interacting inside of me. It's more like each sent a sliver to create me. And they can adjust that sliver as suits whatever I'm doing. But yeah, that's what happened. So they're still living wherever they're living, which is why I can channel Intimate Alien from where she is and let her inhabit more of the percentage.
I mean, I don't even know what to say except for like, that's so cool. I keep thinking of like, so, okay, there's these, what would that be like? It's like they're moonlighting. They have like a part-time job as Rachel.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's rad.
I'm cool with that.
That's just so rad. And like, I'm really drawn to the idea of team, right? Mm-hmm. I'm all about it. I create that wherever I go. And so that's what I'm hearing that you're talking is like, you have this team of beings who, what I love about teams is that it's the whole idea of together, everyone achieves more, right? We're stronger together. Each of us has our own things that we're great at and natural weaknesses or things that we'd rather not do. And when we all get together, right, we can harness each other's strengths. And so that's what I'm liking about this idea of you being multi-souled, right? Is you literally have a team of beings who are like, okay, this one, hey, Bob, you've got this one because this situation is where you're going to excel. Or, hey, Rachel wants this now. So Sally, you're going to have to, you got to drive the Rachel train for a while. And how, by listening to who's in the driver's seat, because I'm going to just keep going back to the thing that I admire most about you is, like, I want to call it courageousness or fearlessness. And I know when we've talked about it, you've just said, well, I can't be any other way. Right. But, just unapologetically following what feels good and trusting And it kind of makes sense now. Like, okay, well, I know that if what feels good right now is to do this, it's because whoever's driving is taking me on the shortcut to where I need to go, because we're a team. Like, we got this.
Yeah, and everyone's a team with their non-physical self, right? It's not just me. I may have different perspectives, right? Like within one being, but it's still all non-physical energy that I'm relying on to guide me. So, and everyone has that.
Okay, so there's one last thing I want to talk about, because honestly, we're talking about stuff that you get to talk about a lot in the line of work that you do, which is wonderful. And it's what I knew this would happen, because what else? Like, this is who you are. Let's talk about makeup, because the other day you have really okay. Blah 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 blah. When you did those first videos from what was then Eric's house, which is now your and Eric's house, but when you first did those videos from Eric's house, and you were like, I got such good feedback on it, and I remember watching those videos and being like, that's Rachel, that's her brand, that is next level Rachel. Like, watching you do that. And one of the things that I noticed was that you had makeup on. And full disclosure, when Rachel is channeling Intimate Alien, Rachel has all kinds of makeup on, right? But this was Rachel with makeup on. And then a couple of days ago, you told me, yeah, I have a hang up about makeup. Like, I feel weird wearing it out of the house. And yet I watch you have a lot of makeup, girl. So talk to me about your relationship with makeup.
Yeah. Well, my mom always wore makeup, not a lot, but a little bit, but she never made me or my sister feel like we needed it, or encouraged us to have any. And so in high school, when most girls start to play with makeup, I just had like a purple eyeliner that I would draw on my lips for when I wanted like purple lipstick. And
Naturally.
yeah, like I had this bright green mascara that I'd wear once in a while, but that was it. I didn't wear it on a daily basis or anything. And I would only wear like weird, funky colors, because my hair was also probably rainbow colored and all that all throughout high school. So I never wore it. And then when I got married, I internalized a lot of what my partner thought. And he, although in high school loved my colored hair, was like, you should wear your hair natural and don't wear makeup. And he was a very controlling person, and I allowed that to happen. And so I got into my head that like that was bad, and I would get a physical response like of anxiety if I thought I was gonna wear it out of the house or whatever. So it took me a really long time to just release that. But even now, I think I'm just too observant of how men like react to females. Because even now when we sit on the couch, and again, my partner is the most amazing guy, the first thing that happens when a female host comes onto the screen, or some actress is like, oh, she's wearing too much makeup, or look at those boots. Like, it's a comment about her physical appearance. And even though I am a 36-year-old woman who is a sovereign being, those comments, I still feel them. It's like my armor gets pierced, and I'm like, why is everyone talking about what women look like? Like, that's just kind of weird. And I like the way I look without makeup. I don't feel like I need makeup to look better, but there are times when I want to wear it and I do feel a little self-conscious. So yeah, I don't really have like an answer for it. I think it's just something that I'm still learning how to refer to myself first and not care about what anything else is happening, because I know my insecurity is creating all of those situations that make me feel uncomfortable. I'm doing that. And I'm not 100% there yet where I don't care. Whereas in pretty much every other area of my life, I don't care. And when I'm wearing Intimate Aliens makeup, I also don't care. I feel very natural in that, and I'll leave the house and you know, whatever. I frequently wear a green wig outside of the house, and like none of that other stuff bothers me, but it's so weird when I have like lipstick on and I leave the house. I'm like, wait a minute, is it smudged? Does it look okay? Are people gonna know? Does that make sense?
Are people gonna know? Are people gonna judge me for wearing lipstick?
Yeah.
I get that. What I'm hearing is that even your first makeup choices were clearly guided by Intimate Alien, because when you were a teenager, it was like the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the early 2000s even.
I was, well, I graduated high school, or would have in 2000, so.
Yeah, so I could have been your English teacher. Because I'm like, no, I was a teenager in the 90s. So I'm remembering people weren't dyeing their hair purple or wearing green eyeshadow. Like I had like blue eyeshadow, or not eyeshadow, blue mascara. I think I had purple mascara, but that was like in the late 80s when I was in junior high, right? People weren't wearing purple lips. And in the 90s, makeup, so when you came into makeup and you were wearing crazy rainbow hair and purple eyeliner on your lips and green mascara, that was actually when people were kind of grunge, or they were trying to look natural with makeup. So I find that interesting, right? That probably Intimate Alien was making your makeup choices.
Yeah, that part of me, no other part of me really cares about the physical appearance. And so I'm definitely heavily influenced by her.
So maybe what makes you uncomfortable is trying to wear normal makeup, right?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Like trying to wear like natural makeup feels bizarre, because why do I need to make up? If I'm going to make up, I'm going to make up.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I'll tell you this, because you and I had this conversation the other day, because I saw you, the whole point is I saw you in this video that you did where you had such beautiful, like natural makeup on. You probably, I remember noticing like you had like a dewiness to you. Like you looked so beautiful. The lighting was amazing. There was a really feminine quality to it. And oftentimes like you're very like androgynous. And I love that about you too, but it was the lighting and the background and the makeup. I was like, that's Rachel. So then when I found out that you're like, yeah, that makes me super uncomfortable. I feel weird. I feel weird wearing natural makeup. I was like, oh. But I was saying, I have two modes that I feel comfortable with in my like public life. I have no problem being in workout clothes and I mean, all day, every day, and picking up my kids from school and still smelling like I just ran. I led a call last night and I'm like, you guys, I know that you don't actually get to like smell me ever, but I smell good right now. Like normally when I'm leading the calls, I'm very glad that you can't smell me. So I have no problem being like stinky, sweaty workout lady. And when I'm not her, I need to be this. I need to like have my hair somewhat blow dried and put on some makeup. I have a hard time being anything in between. I have a hard time being like, well, I'll just throw my hair up in a ponytail and put on jeans or something like I have a hard time doing that. I seem to be either workout Carrie or, okay, I'm going to do a video. So I need to put this on. Anyways, that's my comment on that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the same here. I'm either in a sweatshirt, no makeup, you know, rolling out of bed and leading my day like that in my pajamas, or like completely done up Intimate Alien style. So like this in between. And I'm working with it. I like it, and I'm getting more comfortable, and I'm finding out what it is that I do enjoy about it and working with it. Because for me, I try not to see myself as a static being. Again, in the moment, I just follow what it is that I want to do. And sometimes I do want to be more feminine. Sometimes I do want to be more polished. Sometimes I want to be completely filthy and, you know, go and jump in the mud. Like, I can't say in the next moment what I'm going to want to be. So I try to allow myself whatever it is. And if I feel any discomfort, just try to work through it or realize that it's just not aligned. This topic, though, I think I'm getting over, and it is aligned, and I am going to keep moving forward with it, and just letting all of that discomfort leave me, because I'm over it.
Well, what I like about what you're saying, and or maybe what I just need to say for myself and for everybody who's watching that like struggles with this is, and this goes back to you just like sharing everything, is that you make videos in your converted minivan from like, hey, you guys, I'm totally abundant. I live in a van down by the river. And you make videos in this beautiful home that you're in, feminine makeup, and you make videos from your grandpa's house in Connecticut, and you make videos when you're like just woke up and you're lying in your bed, and like you make video, you show up however you are when the mood strikes, when you feel inspired. And I take you seriously in all of them. I don't like say, I'm not going to listen to that woman's advice because her background is her grandpa's house. Like, what's that on the refrigerator? And I don't think, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to what she says because she's sitting in this van down by the river. And I just want to say that as permission for myself, I think, because I so often I have a list of like content that I want to put out into the world. And I don't do it because I'm like, oh, I'm in my car right now, or I got to go pick up my kids, or there's a video I'm dying to make right now. And I'm like, oh, I hope I'm going to have time to do that like in the next several days. And really it's about taking a shower and setting up lighting and like all of the things that I know I don't really need to do to make that video. Well, thanks for being you, Rachel.
Oh, you're welcome. I love it. Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling like we need to wind this down, partly because there's a lawnmower right outside my window right now. And partly just because I don't know, I'm just feeling pretty complete. Like I feel super good.
Me too. Thank you so much. This was absolutely so much fun, and I will do this anytime you want to.
Well, good, because there's so many topics we haven't talked about. We didn't really talk about what it was like living in your van. We haven't talked about, so everybody who comes on the show, I send a questionnaire of like, tell me stuff about you I don't know. What are you into? And I know you're into like hiking and outdoorsiness, and we haven't ever had a real conversation about that. So point being, you're wonderful, amazing, lovable. You're multidimensional and multi-being, so we could have lots and lots of conversations, and I think we need to in the very near future.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie. Love you.
You're welcome. Thanks for just being totally real and raw, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon. All right. Bye, everybody.